Hi, I'm JP Murrieta with the New Mexico Activities Association. Year in and year out, it seems like there's some confusion or misunderstanding on how the seeding and selection process works. This video is designed to help you understand how the teams get seeded for the state championships. There's a misconception that the NMAA has input or bias with the seeding and selection to the state tournament. There is no input given by any NMAA staff member. Let me repeat that. There is no input given by the NMAA. Teams don't get seeded higher or lower because you think we like that school or don't like another school. That's not how it works. Here is the criteria used by the NMAA to determine the seeding and selection. This criteria was voted on by the member schools. We look at a team's finish in regular season district play. We make head-to-head comparisons against schools. We look at wins against district champions regardless of class. A team's overall record, or rather their win percentage, is another element of criteria, as well as a school's max preps ranking. The final criteria is member school input, or a coach's form submitted to the NMAA before the seeding process begins. All of this criteria is data driven. We are using numbers and numbers only to seed and select. Not one of the criteria is more important than another. For example, head-to-head does not weigh more in determining a seed than overall record. If there is a tie between two schools with criteria points, then head-to-head will be used. If there's no head-to-head competition or the head-to-head is tied, then the max preps ranking will be used to break the tie. Here's how the process works. First, we receive the district placement form from the district chairperson. We get this form from every single district. The district chair will write down who finished first, second, third, etc. This is very important. In seeding and selection, a team cannot be seeded or selected in front of another team that finished above them in the district standings. Here's an example. If one school finished second in the regular season and another school finished third in the regular season, the third place team cannot be seeded ahead of the second place team. The member schools and commission and board of directors wanted to put importance on the district season. So you can't be seated above someone that finished higher. Now, in the event of a tie in the regular season district standings, the NMAA staff may use the 6 criteria points or any other head-to-head competition to determine the seeding and selection order between the two teams that are tied. After we get the district placement forms, then we receive the school input forms. These are filled out from the coach from each school. We request them from every school, whether they think they will make the postseason or not. It's very important all coaches submit this form because it has an effect on seeding and selection. Once we get these forms, the votes are tabulated by putting them into a matrix or a spreadsheet that looks like this. All the teams are listed vertically and horizontally. Now, this is an example from the 2019 boys basketball seeding for Class 5A. Volcano Vista submitted their member school input form. They voted Las Cruces first, Volcano Vista second, Rio Rancho third, etc., etc. So Las Cruces gets 16 points, Volcano Vista gets 15 points, Rio Rancho gets 14 points, etc., etc., all the way down their rankings. The last team on a coach's input form would get 1 point. We go to another school that submitted their form. Carlsbad listed Volcano Vista first, Las Cruces second, Rio Rancho third, etc., down their poll and ranking. So Volcano Vista gets 16 points, Las Cruces gets 15 points, Rio Rancho gets 14 points, and all the way down. We then add up all the points for every school that submitted a form, and the school with the most amount of points becomes number 1 in the coaches poll. The team with the second most points becomes number 2 in the coaches ranking, etc., etc. So that's how we determine where a team ranks when it comes to coaches' input. As you can see, there are some blank columns. There are schools that don't submit a form. If coaches don't send in these forms, it can be greatly affected where a team might be seated. So make sure, if you're a coach, you get in that form. The district placement forms are in, the member school input forms are in. We are ready to begin the seeding and selection process. Let's start with two schools. How about we compare Las Cruces and Rio Rancho? Here's a look at the 6 criteria points we use to evaluate the seeds. The first criteria looked at is finish in regular season district play. Las Cruces finished first, and Rio Rancho did not win their district. So Las Cruces gets a point over Rio Rancho. Next is head-to-head. They didn't play each other, so no point for either team. Next, we measure up wins versus district champs. And when I say wins against district champions, remember, it does not matter the class. Las Cruces could beat a district champ from El Paso, and we would count that. Rio Rancho could beat a district champ from Class 3A, and we would count that. Now, Las Cruces had 1 win against a district champ. Rio Rancho had 6, so Rio Rancho gets a point there. Next is overall record, or their win percentage. Las Cruces is unbeaten at 28-0. They obviously had a better overall record, so they get a point over Rio Rancho. Then we move on to the MaxPreps ranking, and we get the MaxPreps rankings the morning of seeding and selection. MaxPreps had Las Cruces higher in their ranking, so Las Cruces gets another point. Finally, we compare the coach's input form, which I showed you with that matrix. Las Cruces was higher on the coach's input, so they get another point. As you can see, Las Cruces earned a total of 4 points when matched up against Rio Rancho. The overall score was 4-1. So, Las Cruces must be seeded higher than Rio Rancho. That's how it works. We do this for every team comparing one to the other. Now let's take a look at one more example. Let's pair up Las Cruces and Volcano Vista from the 2019 season. The first criteria point is district finish. Las Cruces finished first and Volcano Vista finished first. Neither school gets a point there. Next, we look at head-to-head. They didn't play each other, so neither school gets a point there. Next, wins against district champions. In this case, Las Cruces had 1 win against a district champ. Volcano Vista had wins against 3 district champs. Volcano Vista gets a point for that criteria. Next is overall record. Las Cruces gets a point on that criteria. The next criteria is MaxPreps ranking. MaxPreps had Volcano Vista 1 and Las Cruces 2, so Volcano Vista gets a point for that criteria. And the last criteria we look at is the coach's input forms, which we discussed earlier. They have Las Cruces number 1 and Volcano Vista number 2, so Las Cruces would get that point. Now that leaves 2 points for Las Cruces and 2 points for Volcano Vista. As we said at the beginning of this video, if there is a tie between 2 schools with criteria points, then head-to-head will be used. If there is no head-to-head competition or the head-to-head is tied, then the MaxPreps ranking will be used to break that tie. Las Cruces and Volcano Vista didn't play each other, so then MaxPreps is used to break the tie. And as we mentioned, MaxPreps had Volcano Vista 1 and Las Cruces ranked 2, so Volcano Vista will then be seeded ahead of Las Cruces. Again, this is all data-driven. There is no opinionated input, no bias. It's all based on those 6 criteria points. Now, sometimes it gets a little tricky. Let's say, for example, there's a 3-way tie. Here's another example from a couple years back in softball. Miyamura beat Bernalillo in criteria points 3-2. Los Lunas beat Miyamura in criteria points 4-2, but Bernalillo beat Los Lunas in criteria points 3-2. So, which school gets seeded above the other? There is a way to determine it. Again, it's all based on the numbers. We use the 6 criteria points with all 3 schools. So let's go through this. First criteria point, finish in district play. Los Lunas finished 2nd in their district, Miyamura finished 3rd, and Bernalillo was a district champ. Now to simplify, we rank the 3 schools, 1, 2, 3. So as you can see by this 1 criteria point, since we are ranking them, a team will win the 3-way tie with the lowest total points. Next is head-to-head. In head-to-head wins against the 3 schools, Los Lunas beat Miyamura and Bernalillo didn't play either school, so again, we issue 1 point for Los Lunas, 2 for Bernalillo, and 3 for Miyamura. Next criteria point is wins against district champions. Los Lunas beat 3 district champions, Miyamura beat 2, and Bernalillo beat 1. Therefore, Los Lunas won that category, so we put a 1 next to them. Miamura gets a 2 and Bernalillo a 3. Next is overall record, and Los Lunas had a win percentage of .615. Miamura 720 and Bernalillo 880. Since Bernalillo had the best overall record, we put a 1 next to them. Then it's Miamura 2 and Los Lunas 3. In the Max Preps ranking, Miamura was ranked 5th, Bernalillo 6th, and Los Lunas 7th. So the order of points is 1 for Miamura, 2 for Bernalillo, and 3 for Los Lunas. In the coach's input, they had Los Lunas ranked 5th, Miamura 6th, and Bernalillo 7th. So Los Lunas is a 1, Miamura 2, and Bernalillo 3. To break the tie, we add up all the points in the 6 criteria, and as you can see, Los Lunas had 11, Bernalillo with 12, and Miamura with 13. Now remember, in breaking a tie, the smallest amount of points is the winner. So Los Lunas, with the smallest amount of points in this particular tiebreaker, would be seated above Miamura and Bernalillo. Now since Los Lunas will be seated above the other schools, we can now take them out of the equation. Now we have Miamura and Bernalillo. We compare them against each other on their own. Since Miamura beat Bernalillo against each other on the 6 criteria points, Miamura has to be seated above Bernalillo. That's how you break a 3-way tie. Now there are some situations in a 3-way tie when 2 schools have the same amount of points. For example, schools 1 and 2 have 12 points and school 3 has 14 points. Well, we can't take school 1 or 2 out because the 2 top teams are tied. So in this situation, we take out school number 3 since they would have the most points in a 3-way comparison. Once we take them out, remember, they can't be seated above school 1 or school 2. Then we would compare school number 1 with school number 2 to determine who would be seated above the other. So, as you can see, as we go through all the criteria points in seating and selection, everything is data driven. There is no bias, no opinion, no input given by the NMAA. When people question why one school was seated above another, it all comes down to the numbers. You have to go back to the 6 criteria points and compare each school against the other in all classification. Every seating and selection position is justified by the data. Feel free to reach out for any further clarification or questions. Thank you for watching. Good evening and welcome to the Seating and Selection Show for the State Football Championships, classes 3A through 6A. It's the big reveal night. Who's in? Who are they playing? It will all be announced momentarily. First of all, shout out to the Highland Hornets. I know they are watching tonight. The Cleveland Storm, they're watching as well. Good luck, gentlemen. The defending state champs from Dexter want to know where they land. They are checking out this show. Thanks to everyone for staying up late with us. I know it's late, but I also know the coaches and the players want to know who they are playing ASAP. All the seeding can't be completed until the games are final, and since we had some games on Saturday that could affect the rankings or the coaches' input, the seeding could not be completed until Saturday evening, so here we are together. In case anyone is wondering how the seeding is determined, let's review. The following criteria is used to determine a team's seed. We look at finish in regular season district play, head-to-head matchups, wins against district championship teams regardless of class, overall record, max preps rankings, and member school input. That's the coach's input and ranking. There is no input given by the NMAA. Everyone say it with me now. No input by the NMAA. It's all data driven. There is no bias for or against any school or team. You may have seen the instructional video demonstrating the entire process, so there should be no confusion on how your school received the seeding they did. The process is spelled out with the criteria points that was voted on by the member schools. In fact, we will go over a couple of them specifically tonight. So let's get to it. This is what you're waiting for, right? We will start in Class 3A, and if you have the NMAA 24/7 app, you already know who earned the number 1 seed. We released all the number 1 seeds earlier tonight on the NMAA 24/7 app. Just another reason to make sure you have the app downloaded on your phone. Those who have the app know that this honor went to Socorro. Damian Ocampo and the Warriors enter the postseason on top of the hill. Socorro is 9-1 on the year and earned the number 1 seed. They've been playing some great ball lately. They've given up a total of just 13 points in their last 4 games. Offensively, they're averaging 44 points a night. They played in the title game in 2009, but the last time the Warriors won it all was 1977. Here's a look at the other top 4 seeds in Class 3A. All these teams get a first-round bye. Hope Christian is the 2 seed. The Huskies are 8-2 with their only losses to Portales and Bloomfield. Hope has outscored their last 5 opponents. Get this, 242-0. Dexter did themselves a favor by beating Tularosa on Friday. The Demons moved up into the top 4, and the defending state champs earned a first-round bye. Now, here's an example of the seeding process and how Robertson earned a number 3 seed over Dexter. Robertson had a higher Max Preps ranking and better overall record. That's 2 points for them. Dexter was higher in the coach's input and wins against the district champ. The Demons beat Texaco, so they get 2 points. It's a 2-2 tie between Robertson and Dexter in criteria points. They both finished first in their district and didn't play each other, so the tiebreaker goes to the Max Preps ranking where Robertson finished higher. So Robertson is the 3 and Dexter the 4. Now let's take a look at the bracket. Raton and St. Michael's are in as an 8 and 9. Tularosa is the 5. Dexter beat Tularosa on Friday for the district title, so Tularosa couldn't be seeded better than the Demons. Tularosa will take on Zuni. West Las Vegas is a 6 seed and will host Hot Springs. New Mexico Military Institute will take on Cobre, with the winner moving on against Hope Christian. Now back to Tularosa. They're an interesting 5 seed. The Wildcats are a blue-collar team. It's just smash-mouth football. They don't run the spread. They use all 3 of their running backs. Their quarterback, Trayton Griffin, has done a good job this season. Their offensive line has been dominant. Their defensive line has kept them in a couple ball games. Head coach Richard Grace says a defeat to Ruidoso earlier in the year may have been a turning point.
One of our players, one of our running backs, his father passed away. And that kind of, slowed us down a little bit. But I think it brought us together. We're getting ready to play Ruidoso. We're in the locker room. We're getting ready to come out for the game. He dies on Thursday. And, Friday, the kids are just crying in the locker room as we're getting ready to come out. And because, he'd been in the district for a long time as a PE teacher, and the kids all knew him and went through his classes. And I think that was a point where we kind of said, you know what, we can live through this, we can get through anything. Because our goal all year long has been Blue Trophy bound. And, and that's what we've been working for.
We have a creed that we say, and at the end we say state champions, and that means a lot to me. I'm a senior and I really want it, and I'm willing to work for it.
We come out here, we work every day, we give it our best, and hopefully we get what we want to achieve at the end of the year.
On to Class 4A, and the top spot this year goes to the Bloomfield Bobcats. Bloomfield played in the state final just last season. They are undefeated with a 10-0 record and coming off a 41-7 win over rival Aztec. The last time Bloomfield won it all was 1966, when the Bobcats finished the year unbeaten back then.
The strength of our team is definitely speed, aggressiveness, and really understanding the game of football. Our kids have put in a ton of work, and so I think that they've developed a love of the game and the work ethic to be successful. Last year was a tremendous help. It was a chance to play 4 extra games, to learn about playoff football and what it takes to win, and for our kids to get that kind of experience is invaluable, and to come that close to winning a state championship last year, I think just really increased the drive and hunger to win.
Here are the other top 4 seeds in Class 4A. It's Bloomfield, Portales, Lovington, and Grants. The Pirates won their first district championship in 18 years. Portales is a one-loss team with their only defeat coming at the hands of Goddard. The Rams beat Lovington on Friday night. Now let's take a look at the bracket. Ruidoso and St. Pius is the 8-9 game at the top of the bracket. Winner moves on to face Bloomfield. Kirtland Central checks in at 5. The Broncos get the Pintos of Moriarty. Aztec will host Bernalillo in the opening weekend. The Tigers are 6, Spartans 11. Defending state champ Taos is a 7 seed this year. They will see silver this coming weekend. The winner will face Portales. 2 brackets down and 2 more to go. In Class 5A, the top seed is the unbeaten defending state champs, Roswell. Roswell hasn't lost a game since 2018, and this group is loaded with talent. On offense, they have playmakers Jason Reese and Dominic Nava. One of the strengths of this team is depth. About 25 seniors on the roster. Head coach Jeff Lynn says their defense has been just as impressive as their offense.
You know, we kind of took our lumps early. You know, we gave up 50 to Lovington. We gave up some points to Hobbs, and you know, from that point on, they've really grown and they've gotten better each week. And really, that's a credit to Coach Bolaños and Coach Rodriguez and Coach Avalos. Again, they've done a good job with those kids defensively. So to answer your question, I've been a little bit more impressed with our defense. It's been a good season. I mean, no doubt. I mean, anytime you can have the kind of season that we're having right now, it's been good. But again, this season is going to be defined by what we do in the playoffs. It's going to be defined by what we do from this point forward. And so, you know, it's you know, you got to take care of your business. I mean, it's one game, and if you lose, you're done. So we can't take anything for granted. And again, I mean, this season's going to be defined by what we do from this point on. It meant a lot to win a state title next year, and I think it's really helped our team. I think you know, we've always been, you know, since I've been here, we've been in the quarterfinals, we've been in the semis. You know, we never really got to the big game, and you know, last year we were able to get to the big game, and we were able to win it, and you know, kind of tear down that glass ceiling, you know, break that glass ceiling. And, you know, I think it's been good for our players and good for our coaches from the standpoint is now they know they can do it. You know, if they put the work in and they play together as a team and do all those things that coaches talk about, then they can win it. And I'm not sure that we've had that belief here. But we do now, and so I think it was a good thing to win a state title last year. I think if we were to win another state championship, that would just validate what we're doing and the program we built, and just kind of let people know that we're here to stay.
Let's take a look at the top 4 in Class 5A. Los Lunas is the 2 seed, Goddard 3, and Farmington 4. All 4 of these teams get a first-round bye. Remember, Los Lunas made it all the way to the state title game last year and lost at Roswell. The Tigers have talked about that defeat since the offseason.
We talk about it all the time. I mean, the seniors chose our kind of phrase for this year, and we went with redemption because we don't want to just be a team that's excited to get to the championship, but we're trying to go finish the journey this year.
Now to the brackets. Santa Teresa and Alamogordo will meet in the opening round as the 8-9 matchup. Deming is the 5 seed and will take on Berlin. And there's Highland. Welcome to the party, Hornets. It's their first playoff appearance since 2011 and their first winning season since 2010. They will face Piedra Vista, a team that just beat them a couple weeks ago. Capital is the 7 seed, and Artesia dropped down to number 10, which might surprise some people. Here's how a couple of these teams got here. Deming earned the 5 seed over Piedra Vista, and here's how. Piedra Vista had a better Max Preps ranking and finished higher in the coach's input. But Deming had a better finish in district, a better overall record, and a win against the district champ, Capital. So Deming had more criteria points by a 3-2 margin, and Artesia dropped down to a 10 seed because they lost to Alamogordo Friday night. So Artesia doesn't get seeded until Alamogordo gets in. Alamogordo is a 9 seed and Artesia a 10. Hope that makes sense to everyone. Last but not least, Class 6A, the state's largest classification. The top seed isn't a surprise to many people. The well-deserved honor goes to Volcano Vista. The Hawks are unbeaten with wins against La Cueva, Rio Rancho, and Cleveland. Offensively, they are averaging almost 45 points a game. Defensively, they had 6 games this year where they only gave up a touchdown or less. Head coach Chad Wallen is looking to win his first state title. Earning that number 1 seed is a big step for his program.
I think it's a good message sent that the program's moving forward. We really felt like we took a big step last year with leadership in the program and leadership for the players. And now all of a sudden it's kind of vindication of how hard these kids have worked and what the coaches have put in the last couple of years. So it's really nice. I know a lot of great coaches that have never won one. So I think winning one, sometimes people take it for granted because you get around places that have won a couple. It's difficult. You've got to have some luck. It's not just talent and hard work. You've got to have the ball's got to bounce your way a few times. So, we're humble, we're working hard, and we're going to take each game really one at a time and just see how it goes.
Here are your top 4 seeds: Volcano Vista, Clovis 2, Cleveland 3, and Rio Rancho 4. Let's break down how they got here. Volcano, the undefeated number 1, right? No debate there. Let's take a look and compare Clovis and Cleveland for that 2 spot. Cleveland was higher on the coach's input and overall record. That's 2 points for them. Clovis had a better Max Preps ranking, a higher finish in district since they won their district, and Clovis picked up a win against a district champ by beating Los Lunas. That's 3 points for Clovis. So Clovis would be seated ahead of Cleveland by that 3-2 count. Now let's look at how Rio Rancho earned that 4 spot over, say, Las Cruces. Las Cruces finished higher in coach's input, a higher finish in district since they won theirs, and a better overall record. That's 3 points for Las Cruces. Rio Rancho had a better Max Preps ranking. The Rams beat the Bulldogs head-to-head, and they had 2 wins against district champs in Clovis and Las Cruces. So that's 3 points to 3 points. In the event of a tie, the tiebreaker is head-to-head, and as we mentioned, Rio Rancho beat them, so they won. So Rio Rancho is the 4, and Las Cruces will play opening weekend. But ever since the start of the year, the Bulldogs feel like they could make some noise.
I think that the big Albuquerque teams are always looked at as the big Albuquerque teams. And down south, it's kind of like, they're always consistent, but are they going to be contenders? And I think we're going to answer that question as a yes. I think we are going to be contenders this year.
Well, we'll prove something for sure this year. No one's going to expect us to be up there, but we're going to be up there.
Now here's the big reveal, the final bracket we've been waiting for. Mayfield and Carlsbad will be the 8-9 matchup. The Bradley brothers squaring off again, this time in the postseason. Las Cruces is the 5 and will face Sandia, the final team in the field. Centennial is a 6 seed, Cibola is the 11. Now Centennial was a 6 over defending state champ La Cueva by a 3-1 count on those criteria points we talked about. Centennial had a better overall record, Max Preps ranking, and they were higher on the coaches poll. So La Cueva is a 7 and will face rival El Dorado in the opening round. That's going to do it for this seeding and selection show for the state football championships. Good luck to all the teams. Don't forget, as we approach the state championships, the title games can be seen on the NFHS network. So go get a subscription and log on so you can watch the championship games. If you missed any part of this show, it will be posted on our website. Don't forget to download the NMAA 24/7 app. It is free, and it's the best way to stay up to date on the scores and brackets and matchups. Download it now at the App Store or Google Play. Remember to compete with class, and we will see you out on the field.